At some point, I want you to think about if you were to double the amount of clients in your business, would your delivery department be able to handle it? Would the administrators in your company be able to handle it? And would your clients get the same amount of care, consideration, attention in order for them to go through your program and to be successful, to get what you promised them when they were onboarded? So really, there are three types of companies. There's three different phases that you can be in. So if you are in a phase of your business where there's too many clients, you're growing way too fast, and it's starting to break the delivery department, and everyone's starting to get exhausted on your delivery team. If you are not quite there, but you're close, your sales are doing great, your delivery department is just barely keeping up, you want to be non-reactive to your problems. You want to be preemptive to your problems. This is a high quality problem that you want to have, right? Is that you've got more sales than you can handle, but it puts you in a really precarious position. And here's why. Because as clients are coming in faster than you can handle them, what happens is the client managers in your team start to get overwhelmed. And even though they have a passion for your mission and they're really qualified, they're great team members, when team members get overwhelmed over time, it ends up equaling resentment. Overwhelm over time equals resentment. And it doesn't matter how good of a relationship you have. It doesn't matter how passionate they are for the project. It's just human nature. You get exhausted. And usually that's the first piece of the business that starts to wobble. Then after that is the delivery team. And the delivery team is trying to manage so many clients in the success and the steps and where they stand that you end up spending tons of time, way more time than you had originally or that you were in the past 3 months in client delivery, creating trainings, dealing with calls of people that are feeling like they're being a little bit neglected. And now you got to get on a call to re-enroll them into their vision and the reason that they signed up in the first place. And it just ends up creating a whole bunch of kind of just work backup. Now, in order to solve this problem, you could tell the salesperson that, hey, we need to start throttling down sales until we can get a hold of this problem. And as you all know, a good sales team, a good salesperson is worth their weight in gold. And if they're not able to make as much money as they can, then they're going to go to a company that can actually handle the amount of sales that they make. So you kind of have this thing where you got to choose between which of your team members is going to suffer. And typically what I've seen in the past is that you choose to keep the sales team rolling and you figure that just more cash will solve the problem, and more cash will not solve the problem unless you invest in systems, team, and infrastructure. So I'm going to show you the top mistakes that cause this problem for the delivery machine to break because of too many sales and what you can do about it to make sure that you either solve the problem that you have right now, or better yet, solve the problem before it even exists. And I cannot stress this enough. It's like, do not wait for problems to come hunt you down. You need to preemptively be able to plan and have the foresight to see that it's going to be a problem and implement those systems and structures and processes in your business now so you can take on a sudden boom in clientele without it just burning out your entire team. All right, so first problem is that there is a poor pass off from sales to delivery, especially when you got a great sales team and your marketing is on point and they're taking 5, 6, 7 calls a day. There is a lot of administrative work that goes into enrolling somebody. You've got to get their credit card information. You've got to set up their payment information. You've got to get all of their personal information, like what does their company do? What's their monthly revenue? All the information that's required in order for the delivery team to understand where that client is at. When this isn't done properly, what ends up happening is the salesperson goes through this really transformational process of an enrollment conversation, of really getting people to take a look at where they're at, where the gaps are from where they want to be, and saying, okay, we can fix that. And when the process of passing it off to the client management team isn't there, or it's all over the place, then on their onboarding call, they end up answering the same questions again. And then when they get into their first coaching call or their delivery call, they end up answering the same questions again. And this makes your new clients, who is really excited and hopeful that you're going to help them solve their problem, lose confidence in you because it's really annoying to answer the same 10 questions over and over again. I remember I was on a call with Sprint and I was trying to get a SIM card or something, whatever. And I talked to one agent and they asked me, okay, what's your name? What's your phone number? Where are you from? What's the problem? And then they're like, let me transfer you. They transfer me and then I have to answer the same questions again. They transfer me to someone else. And I was like, don't you guys have a central like communication system where when one person writes something down, everybody gets to see it? And so even like the biggest companies in the world fail to do this, and it makes for unhappy customers. And the first 72 hours, the first 3 interactions that your new customer that you are on this planet to help has with you are the most important touch points of the entire relationship. And so if it's clunky and they lose confidence, then you're going to find people wanting to back out, get buyer's remorse, and start losing confidence in the process. Okay. And so the way to do this is you want to have a form that the salesperson fills out that goes straight into the client management system. And then immediately when that form is submitted, there needs to be a series of tasks that are automated for your administrator in order to get them in your membership site, get all their payment information in Stripe all in one place. So there is a centrally located place where all the information for the client goes, and it doesn't need to be re-entered by the admin. That's the first thing. Which brings me to the second point, which is a scattered client management system. So as you start to build your business, it becomes really easy at the beginning to be able to manage new clients that come in. One client comes in every few days and the team gets to talk about it. And there's a lot of intimacy because there's not a whole lot of volume. As the volume goes up, then the intimacy goes down unless you have systems together. A thing that I see in a lot of companies is there's information that is entered into close.com. And then there's information that goes into Keep or goes into your clients. Then there's information that goes into the Facebook group. There's information that goes into a spreadsheet. There's information that goes into an email and into Slack. And so in order for the entire team to be on the same page, they've got to go to 5, 6, I've seen up to 10 different locations of spreadsheets, technologies, and all that stuff in order to get the full scope of the client journey, why that client enrolled in the first place, and all of the notes that everyone on the team, from the person who did the triage call to the person who did the sales call to the person who did the onboarding call and all of the subsequent coaches that they interact with, to have all that information into one place. So you want to make sure that all that information goes into one place through different forms, a centrally located CRM, and the forms being connected to that CRM in order for the information that is put in a form or a questionnaire to go into one place. There needs to be a hub where the information is, and everything needs to plug in that. And you can use Zapier or any other technology connector like Zapier in order to do this. This takes a considerable amount of time to set up. And this is why we offer for our clients done for you services. And also in our mastermind, we've got templates for this. So you don't have to spend time figuring this out. And you can input this system into your business without having to spend the countless hours that it takes to build this thing out, to figure it out, first of all, and then build it from scratch. So whether you are preemptively doing it or you have a bunch of scattered spreadsheets and everything, we can help you consolidate that in a relatively short amount of time in order for everything to be in one place. It's super, super critical. And if that's something that you want support with, we could talk about what the best solution is, what the best process is to get this problem solved, because when information is scattered, then the business is a mess. And the more information that gets pumped into that system, the more it breaks. When you have a scalable system, the more information that's pushed into it, it actually gets more optimized because you're able to see ways to improve it and not necessarily fix it when it's broken. That makes sense. All right. 3, poor onboarding process. This is really important. And the onboarding process is not something that necessarily needs to be done by a head coach. This could be, for most companies that are doing 7 figures, there's usually a client manager that's there to manage the account, make sure that they're making their payments, making sure that they have all of their links, making sure that they are following through with the assignments that the coach gives them, making sure that they're showing up. So this client manager should be the first person that they speak to after they enroll into the program. And in this onboarding process, you want to create a bookmark folder for the client that has all of the links to everything that they need to be successful in the program. So they need a link to the membership site. They need a link to the Zoom calls. They need a link to the calendar that shows when all of the classes are. They need a link to the Facebook group. They need a link to their homework assignments. All of the assets that are required should automatically be put into their bookmark bar so they're never asking for a link again. I know it sounds trivial, but the amount of wasted time and bandwidth that comes from, hey, what's my password? Where's this link? Where's the spreadsheet? Where is my Google Drive folder? Really burns out a lot of the capacity of your team when that's really unnecessary. Your team shouldn't be there to be answering those type of questions when those things can be automated. And the way that it starts is the way that it finishes. And so you need to set them up for success with all of the assets, usernames, and passwords, so they never have to ask again. They never are confused at any point in time as to how to get access to the amazing program, course, or engagement that you put together. And after that, you simply just go into that folder and show them how to use it. Here's where you click for the Facebook group. Here's what we use the Facebook group for. Here's how you get into the membership site. Here's how you use the membership site. Here's how you book a call with a coach when you get stuck. And then there's a link for that. Here's the email address that you send to us when you can't make a payment or you want to upgrade into the next program. Everything is set for them, so they're never asking for another thing again. All right, next. Too much time in delivery meetings. I was speaking with a couple of our enterprise clients this week, and one of the things that we look at is like how much time is spent in meetings across the team. Because if you've got 5 team members in a 2-hour meeting, that's 10 hours of company time. That's very expensive, and that affects the bottom line, and it's honestly like pretty exhausting. And I've seen some companies that have 300 or 400 clients in their programs, and they're spending 2 to 3 hours a day, every single day, talking about the success of the clients. And here's what I like about that. What I like about that is, man, it means that you give a shit. And that's super important. And like, you should never lose that, because that's the fuel that drives your offer, is like really caring about your clients and wanting to see them succeed, and troubleshooting and thinking about them when they're not around in the group trainings or in the virtual events or live events that you're in. So really considering and building a plan for them as they're doing their thing, you're working to set them up for success. But honestly, 2 hours. So I believe it was 5 people, 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. So that is 10 hours a week for each person. That's 50 hours a week of company time. And so it doesn't have to be this way, and it shouldn't be this way. The way that this should look is there should be one meeting, 1 to 2 hours, depending on how tight your systems are, going over client success. So once you've solved this problem, the scattered client management system, and everything is in one place, then it's really easy to address the clients that need support. So the way that this meeting goes is, at first, there are announcements. Are there any new trainings that you need to share with the clients? Any new features that need to be shared with the clients that the rest of the team should know about? After you go through the announcements, then it's the highlights. What wins are the clients having? Make sure you get those testimonials. They're the most powerful marketing tools that there are. And plus, who doesn't like being celebrated for their wins? Right? Am I right? Next, you want to go through red level clients. And when everything is centrally located, there should be a list of red level clients of who is in crisis and what support do we need to give them to get out of crisis. And so you address that person. It should take 2 to 3 minutes tops, and come up with a game plan. Who's going to reach out to them? How are we going to solve this problem? You create a task that goes into your delivery space that is assigned to a coach or a client manager, and they now have their directive to solve that problem. If that problem is still a problem the next week, it just goes right back into that meeting. This only really needs to happen once a week, once all of your information is centrally located. And then finally in that meeting is like new ideas. And you only really need to spend about 5 minutes talking about new ideas. This isn't where you like plan them or flesh them out. It's just like, what new ideas do we have to improve the product? Like I said, depending on how good your systems are, that should take 1 to 2 hours, 1 time a week. My suggestion would be to do it at the beginning of the week. I love meetings on Mondays because you get to action plan for the week. You get to execute on Friday. You give, hey, here's the state of the union. Here's what we accomplished. And then on Monday, you step into the meeting and you run those cycles. You run those sprints over and over again. All right. Finally, this one is a tough one to admit, but success creating indifference. When you're crushing it in sales and you've got 300 clients and one client is, ticked off, or 2 clients or 5 clients is ticked off, and the sales are just coming in really fast. It's easy to just fall into the mindset of like, we got a lot of money coming in. And so, let's just ignore it and let it go. Right? From like a bottom line standpoint, like, sure, you can get away with that, but let's not forget, like, we get into business not just for the money, of course, for the money, but also it's like we're genuinely here to help people. And usually the indifference doesn't come from, well, it's a combination of 2 things. It's like we've had a ton of success and this problem is more expensive emotionally than it is for the amount that person paid. And so you just tend to just to let it go. Okay. This indifference is solved by, or is caused by, just complete overwhelm. And when you get all of these other elements that I shared with you in line, going to reduce the amount of overwhelm. If you're still feeling it's like, wow, it's just not worth it, then you might want to consider raising your prices, because at some point your program starts to become more and more valuable because you got more people going through it and you're improving the product. And so that might be something that you want to consider. But ultimately, like, understand that delivery is what sustains the business. Sales is what grows the business, and systems is what keeps it together. And at some point in your business, you need to invest in the infrastructure of your company, and not just in the sales and marketing and growth. And that's what we help companies do. We help companies that are rapidly growing implement team and systems and new ways of thinking and mindsets in order to optimize their business so they're able to sustain that growth. In addition, companies that have not quite hit that point where it's so painful, this is really the time for you to invest in infrastructure so you can have a business that is sustainable. Because infrastructure is a multidimensional thing. It might be in operations. How do we optimize your meetings so nothing slips through the cracks? It might be in this in the system of onboarding clients and managing the information of the clients. That's a whole nother animal there. Or maybe it's in scaling your marketing, hiring a marketing team so you don't have to be writing every single day. Or maybe it's managing all the leads that you are in contact with in your messenger, being able to make sure no leads slip through the cracks, because you're starting these conversations with people and then, sometimes they drop off and it feels like you don't care when you really do, but what's missing is infrastructure. Or maybe your company is crushing it and there's no financial infrastructure in order for you to really find out where your business is at and what you should invest in next. So all of these are different elements of the infrastructure of your company. And I have yet to see a company be able to sustain 8 figures a year without investing in infrastructure. And until next time.